So you just bought a 996, you're thinking about buying a 996, or you're taking yours out of storage. I would recommend at least checking over your car once a year just to get an idea of where the car is at. And if you're going to sell the car, you know what the new buyer is expecting, or if you're about to buy a car, you know what to look for and make your judgment based off what you find. I'm Damien with Pelican Parts, and today you're gonna come along with me while we do a multi-point inspection on this 996. Go grab some coolant. These cars take the G40 pink coolant, and this is pre-diluted. This is good to top up right out of the jug. You can use a funnel for this, or a very strategically aimed pour. Look at that. Got him. All right, we're just below the min, so we can go a little bit more. This doesn't always indicate a leak either, because coolant does evaporate. Very common on German stuff that likes to run hot. This is a good time to check the expansion tank for any cracks or leaks, as well as the seal on the cap. It is possible to cross-thread this cap onto the tank, so watch out for that. It should spin with barely any effort if you have it engaged on the threads properly. Do a visual inspection under the deck lid here. What you're really on the hunt for is any broken stuff that you can see, but mainly leaks, oil, coolant, power steering fluid. Check this while you're here. All right, looks about right. Looks like you're supposed to be towards the bottom section here when it's cold, which we are. We'll just turn this car on to get it into the shop. I'm gonna grab an inspection mirror, which we'll need later on as well, and just see if I can get a shot of the other side of this belt here. Look for any cracking or missing chunks. Yeah, so we don't see any cracks. Everything looks nice. There's no missing parts of the ribs. Obviously, you can't see the full belt, but I mean, a few inches go a long way. If this part of the belt's not worn and cracked, then it's unlikely the rest of it is. There's also another section down here. You can get at the belt, you can actually see both sides of the belt. Check here. Yeah, we're good. So after you check this, check your fluids. You don't have any critters hanging out around here chewing on stuff. Your coolant expansion tank's not blown out, then let's move on, go on to the front, check out the brake fluid. We'll start looking at some suspension. All right, here's your washer fluid. Top that up if you need. Our battery covers right here. But you can check out the battery, put a multimeter on it and see what you're sitting at for voltage. You'll see date code on the side. This is an aftermarket battery, but you can see it's AGM, so absorbent glass mat. These batteries tend to last longer and they're a lot more robust, especially up in the Northeast where weather is extremely cold at sometimes, so most of these cars sit for the winter. Got our brake master cylinder up here with the reservoir. You can see we're at the proper mark, but I don't know if we've got, oh, okay. So we've got some blue .4 fluid, or definitely keep an eye on this. You definitely want to do brake fluid flushes every 2 years just to avoid moisture buildup in the system, which obviously is going to cause, weak braking, and not to mention corrosion buildup, because brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs water on purpose. That's so you don't have just bubbles of moisture sitting inside the brake parts, brake lines, rusting, corroding from the inside out. In here, under here is going to be your cabin air filter, which you can see if you pull this out. So this is going to filter all the air that comes from outside of the vehicle and through your HVAC system and into your face. These are often overlooked, so you definitely want to change these out Porsche recommends every 15,000 miles. This is usually where you'll find mice and stuff chewing apart or making nests, which is just disgusting to have going through your HVAC system. Simple cupboard, presses through here. Quarter turn fastener holds that down. And there's also a push pin here that's missing, so all right. Now we'll lift this up a little bit more, check out the wheels and tires and suspension from what we can see. All right, just checking everything out here, make sure everything's in place. Coil springs are good. Nothing loose or out of place here. This is also where you'd want to check any play in your wheel bearings. Just grab a 12 and 6 and if these are on, or the rear toe arms on these cars, make sure those aren't loose. Everything's tight from out here. Check out the brake rotors. Here you can see the track rod, the ball joint. I don't see any rips or anything in that boot. That's good. We'll get that later on. See if there's any play in there. Obviously, we want to check our brake pad thickness, which you don't usually have to take the wheel off. You can kind of sneak in here with your inspection mirror. And you can see there's plenty of meat left on the inner pad as well as the outer pad. It does look like we're missing the brake pad wear sensors. We do the same for the front, kind of just go around the car doing the same thing. Plenty of brake pads. Same thing, we can check for any play in this. That's the steering lock, because the steering wheel is locked, so we're not going to worry about that. Now here's a trick. If you're hearing like a grumbling noise and your wheel bearing isn't loose in the wheel that you can feel, this works every single time. If you grab the coil spring and spin the wheel, if you have a bad wheel bearing, you'll actually feel the vibration and crunchiness in the spring, because obviously it's causing vibrations that resonate all the way up through the spring. That works 100% of the time. That was always my way in the shop when somebody came in with a grumbling or growling. And when you feel your first bad one this way, you'll know immediately what I'm talking about. Porsches are unique in the fact that they don't put any mesh or plastic grill screens in the bumper, so anything can fly up through, damage your radiators or your AC condensers. So you definitely want to peek around here, make sure there's no damage or anything leaking here. And if you do see that, we have a whole video on how to remove the front bumper on a 986 and install Renline's grill screens, which is invaluable. It can save you literally thousands of dollars if something kicks up just right in the road and takes out any of the stuff in here, because that's expensive to replace. It's good to go. Wheel bearing is good here as well. Take a look at these brake pads. Solid. Solid. You definitely want to check for any inside wear. But yeah, there is good tread left. They look a little old, so we do want to find the DOT code, which is right here. Every tire ever has these, so if you see DOT in these last 4 digits, this is actually these tires were made on the 21st week of 2012, so that's wild. We're in 2026 right now, so we've got 14-year-old tires, which is definitely not what you want. Moving on to the fun stuff. Let's get underneath this thing, see if we've got any oil leaks or any funny business in the suspension. I'm gonna just grab a pry bar. This will help us kind of poke around on any control arms, see if we have any play in the bushings. Since it's a lot easier to move suspension with leverage like this. Is your oil pan. You obviously want to check as much of the engine as you can for any leaks coming anywhere, coolant, oil, power steering fluid. Here's the subframe. Obviously you want to check that kind of stuff. Sway bar bushings, this is easy. Those look pretty good, there's no excessive movement there. Kept the ball joints for the track rods and the lower control arms. Want to check the thrust bushings. There's all kinds of places you can kind of sneak in here with the pry bar. That's tight. So we're good there. Now we can check this ball joint by kind of messing around here. You want to check the bushing or the ball joint on the track rod. That's tight. Sway bar end links. Boots aren't torn. Okay. No leaks coming from the drive shafts. At the flanges, and boots aren't torn. That's one thing. Another good thing you'd want to check. Kind of turn the wheel. Make sure there's no axle grease puking out anywhere. Okay, there. Okay. So far, so good. Pretty sorted. This car, if I remember right, has almost 200,000 miles on it. It's like that 155 or something. We'll have to check, but this car drives really well. And if I had to guess, somebody took really good care of it, changed a bunch of the suspension, and kept up with it, which was great. I don't see any leaks here from the struts, so those are good. We got the other upper control arms. Want to be careful. Here's the speed sensor. You don't want to rip that in any way, but you can just sneak in here and try and get that to move, but that's tight. Same here. That's nice and tight. Sway bar like on this side. Body looks clean. It's the transmission. Oil leaks here. And so it looks like we've got this isn't in all the way. And then we've got something you definitely don't want to see. The oil leak, it looks like, between the transmission and the engine, which could be a multitude of things. Look at that, actually dripping. One being the rear main seal or the IMS flange. That cover has a seal on it into the engine where the IMS bearing is housed, so that's something you don't want to see here. But you always want to verify where that's coming from, because if the oil's higher up in the engine, then you know it's coming from up there and leaking down here, but I have a feeling that's not the case. Because you can kind of see, I mean, you want it to be, but I don't know. It's all wet here. If it were leaking higher up, it would be wet all the way through here, leaking down, and it's not. And there's no wetness between where this oil filter cap and the engine. So it's not like this is spitting out over here causing a leak. Just make sure any of the lines under here are not destroyed. Under here is where the fuel filter should be, and the main coolant lines. And power steering should be coming down here all the way to the front. Okay, so there's the coolant lines. Those come down, and if it's anything like the Boxer, which it probably is, there are aluminum tubes that come up here, Y off to the radiators. There's one on each side. This car doesn't have a center radiator. And you'd want to take all this off and just make sure that stuff's not leaking. Or you can just peek around and kind of make a judgment here. We'll do the same, kind of poke around the suspension, look for anything loose. Everything looked good up here too. Is nothing out of place here. So we're good to go. If you want to learn more about working on your Porsche, come find us at pelicanparts.com.